क्या कैसेट सीडी अच्छा
So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this third edition of IGO on Air. And we have with us Dr. Lalit Neni, the editor of IGO, as well as many editorial board members. So, we are going to take you through this topic of literature search. What we find most of the time that is lacking with students is literature review, and they have difficulty in finding the most relevant literature that is related to their topic, both for thesis as well as for uh, papers. So I'll just take you through the basics of literature search and how to do it effectively in a very short span of time. So let's move on with the topic. So that's my topic, and this is what the entire at the end of the lecture, this is how what you should be able to do on your own, and you can rewatch the video and get the skills sharpened. So let's begin with that. Literature review is what we have to focus on the gap in literature. So most of the time when we try and read a textbook, it looks like very seamless. It looks like a answer to everything is already there. However, when we start to do research, we start to read journal articles, we find that there are so many questions that are unanswered. Especially when we start to treat our patients, we'll find that there is no one single answer for all the patients for a particular disease. So it keeps on varying, and that is what literature review is. You have to focus on that one particular knowledge gap and find it out and define it thoroughly. So that's what is the aim of literature review. Don't search in dark, especially since more than 6,000 articles are added every week to literature, and a lot of them in orthopedic. So finding the most relevant literature is like finding needle in haystack. And that is where this talk becomes relevant. This is also important because most of the patients now have access to all this information, and they'll come to you asking queries like which implant is better than uh, the older one is better or the new one is better, or they'll come to you with questions like robotic is better or conventional is better. So you should be able to get those answers before them, and you should be able to get them reliably, and you should be able to judge the validity of that information too. So what are resources? The web is a vast data bank. There are a lot of websites, a lot of academic societies. Of course, there are online forums. A lot of guidelines are put up by various associations. However, our main resources are these two: PubMed, Google, and Google Scholar. Like I said, World Wide Web is a vast data bank. It will not answer to specific queries. If you put in Google, which is the best implant for intertrochanteric fracture, it is not going to give you an answer. So we'll go through certain steps on making the web answer specific queries for you. So these are called as concepts, and we'll have these 5 different concepts that will help you do your literature review very easily. The first concept is concept of keywords. Now, keywords are like if the internet is a locked data bank, use the keyword and it just opens up for you. Now, keywords are defined based on topic of your study. Conventionally, they are talked in terms of PICO format, population, intervention, control, and outcome measure. Uh, it need not necessarily be all of them present. So sometimes there will be just population and intervention. There may not be a control group or conventional group. However, population, intervention, and outcome measure will most of the time be there. In our example, where we try and compare the difference between conventional and high flexion total knee processes, I'll lay down how the PICO format looks like. So patient is total knee arthroplasty or total knee replacement. Intervention is high flexion, control is conventional, and outcome is functional outcome that you're looking at. So that's the PICO format. This is the most basic concept of literature review or even doing research. So if you understand the PICO format, most of the it is like a basic building block for your research. It will help you in formulating your not only a literature review but also formulating your the title of your study, also formulating the various sections of your thesis as well as sections of your paper. So this is a very important concept of dividing your research into PICO format. Now, this is PubMed homepage. I'm sure most of us are aware about PubMed. So 5, 6 years back when I used to take lectures on this, there were at least 35, 40% people who had never gone to PubMed website. But uh, nowadays, almost 100% people know about the PubMed website. So this is the homepage. This is where we put our keywords. So for example, if I search total knee arthroplasty, it gives me around 20,000 views. Um, it is impossible to go through these 20,000 views. So how do I make PubMed give me important or most relevant articles? So like I said, we will move on to various concepts, and this is the second concept that we'll look at. Many of these articles are not really on the subject. Like we noticed, this article is an anesthesia article, and it has nothing to do with TKR. TKR is just forming the base patient population for this study. So this is the second concept of literature review, concept of fields. It is in square bracket after the keyword. These are various fields that are there. What does a field do? It tells PubMed where to search the keyword. Okay, so first concept was keywords, which is in Pico format. Now we are trying to search these keywords in PubMed. So we utilize the field concept. Field tells the PubMed where to search the keyword. So if the field is TI, that means PubMed will search the keyword in title only. If the field is TIAB, it will search the keyword in title and abstract both. So let's see how it works. So I put in totally arthroplasty and put in bracket TI, and you see it gives me 7,500 results. So from 20,000, I come down to 7,500, reduced by 1/3. If I use TIAB, that means PubMed is going to search the keyword total knee arthroplasty in title as well as abstract. More amount of text for searching, so you'll get more number of hits. So from 7,000 you get 11,000. So that's how you upscale and downscale the literature review based on number of articles you get. But there are multiple keywords, like we saw. Pico will give us at least minimum 2 keywords or 3 keywords. So how to deal with multiple keywords? There is a third concept and second concept of PubMed, which is called Boolean operators. Boolean operators define the relationship between words or group of words. It's most easily understood by taking examples. So what do Boolean operators do? They define relationship between keywords. Whether the keywords appear together in the title abstract or whether they are exclusive of each other. So let's take example. For example, here we are using Boolean operator OR. So what it does is it gives me all articles containing the first keyword, the second keyword, as well as both the keywords. So when I do a literature search on PubMed, first keyword, first field, okay, first Boolean operator, second keyword, and second field. When I click search, it gives me 27,046 articles. Okay, so it means it contains first keyword, second keyword, or both the keywords. Okay, that's the meaning of use of OR as a Boolean operator. If we use AND as the operator, it will give me articles containing both the keywords only. Okay. So let's do a literature review for that. And when I replace or by and, just or by and, I get 260 articles. So from 27,000, I come down to 260 articles. So that's how effective a Boolean operator is in defining or in reshaping a literature review. However, is field enough? So many times in title or in abstract, authors from different countries will use different kinds of terminology. So total knee arthroplasty, total knee replacement. These are same different words used for same concept. So how to deal with this? For this, PubMed has made this special thing called mesh terms. Now, mesh is medical subject heading, and what it does is, I'll show you first where it is. Just below the abstract of each article in PubMed, you'll find this publication type mesh term. If you click on it, it will take you to a mesh term. So what it means is that the article is on the subject of total knee replacement. So earlier we saw that in the list of search articles, there was one article which was related to anesthesia and was not on total knee arthroplasty. Now, if you use mesh as the search field, it will give us articles only on total knee arthroplasty or total knee replacement. So that is how important mesh is mostly applied to the population that you're searching for. So you get focused articles on that particular subject. So mesh, there are a lot of things about mesh, but most important thing is that mesh can be used as a field. So for example, here, knee arthroplasty, I've used in bracket mesh. Instead of TIAB, I use mesh. So it tells PubMed that this is the subject on which we want the article. Then we use the first Boolean operator, second keyword, second field, second Boolean operator, third field, and third keyword and third field. So that's the complete query to PubMed on my literature search. And when I click search, I get 7 most relevant articles. So that's how I make use of these concepts and reduce the number of hits I get and get most relevant articles. Now, all this is made very simple on PubMed. This is homepage, click on advanced, and it will open up a search builder. Now, this is the search builder page. You put your keywords there. This is the drop down where you can select your fields. Most commonly, we use title or title and abstract. Just select the field, go to and. This is the Boolean operator that is there. There is a drop down of and, or, and not. You can select and. And once you do that, your entire query just comes within seconds. So that's how it is working. So PubMed has 3 concepts: field search, Boolean operator, and mesh search. And combined with the keywords, it forms the most important concept in PubMed search. PubMed is a very important website for everybody who is doing research. You can register there. It's free to register. After you register, you can select your filters where you can also select free full text articles or articles published in last 5 years or recent articles and things like that. Okay. They can also save your lot of searches in your collections, etc. So you can do a lot of things when you register on PubMed, and it can give you almost like daily or weekly update for your research if you're doing. Let's come to the second most important resource for research, Google and Google Scholar. Now, Google and Google Scholar are not as streamlined as PubMed. For example, if I have an adult patient of torticollis in my OPD, and if I put it in Google, torticollis in adults, it will start giving me a lot of these websites. Now, these are not research articles, but websites that are giving information about the subject. So how to make Google give you research articles? A very simple trick is to just add PubMed to whatever you are searching. Once you add PubMed, it will start showing you all PubMed articles. So PubMed is a base resource for us most of the time. Once you get this, you'll see all the scientific articles. You can scroll down, and for example, I found this article which is from India, so it is most likely to be more important for my patient in OPD. So here in Google, if I click on cited by, okay, it will take me to Google Scholar. It will take me to Google Scholar and it will give me all the articles that are published after that selected paper. Okay. If I click on related articles, it will give me articles that are old as well as recent. So it depends on, it will give you two separate lists, one recent list and one combined list for your literature review. If you click on directly on the link, it will take you to PubMed because originally we added the PubMed tag to our search. In this PubMed page, on the right side, you see related citations. And if you go down here, you'll find the see more, and this gives you another list of articles that are related to that particular template articles. So template article is the last concept that we take into account when doing literature review. So we have keywords, we had fields, we have Boolean operators, and we have this concept of template paper. So let's move ahead with the list. So this is Google Scholar. Google Scholar also has an advanced search, but it is not very effective. And this is how it works. This is just the search field that you have. If you click torticollis in adults, you can search anywhere. You can put authors' names or published in which year, or you can select the date. But it's very basic, unlike the search in PubMed. Few important things about Google Scholar: it can streamline your articles here by date. It can include patents and citations also. So Google, add PubMed to the keyword phrase that you're searching. Select most relevant article, related article, citing article, and go to PubMed. And that's how you get your list. So Google and PubMed are interchangeable. You get 4 lists from literature review. List 1 is from PubMed key list. List 2 is PubMed related article list. List 3 is Google related article, and list 4 is Google cited articles. So list 1 you use in specific clinical scenarios. List 2, 3, and 4 you can use for your thesis as well as your mostly for your thesis and for your research paper. So list 1 you can use in your OPD or anytime you like. There are 3 major requirements for, 3 special tricks for literature review. One, you need a proper research question. You have to have the Pico search in PubMed. If you are asking a general question, for example, role of statins in cardiovascular diseases, here I go to my PubMed search builder and I put statins and cardiovascular disease. If I click search, I get only 88 articles. So that means I'm doing something wrong in my, just wrong. So that means I'm doing something wrong because just statins and cardiovascular disease cannot give us just 88 results. So what I'm doing wrong, most commonly what I'm doing wrong is not using the mesh term. So let's find the mesh term. How to find the mesh term? In this page itself, just scroll down. This is mesh terms are available for slightly older articles because they are done manually by PubMed people. So once I scroll down, I find articles which is slightly older one, and I click on the abstract. I go down, find the mesh here, and here I see the mesh term for statins is this. So this entire thing is the mesh term for statin, the enzyme name. So if I use this in my search instead of statins, okay. Now this is the mesh page, how it looks like. So this is a mesh page for hydroxyglutaric co-reductase inhibitors. And if I can use therapeutic use, I can select many of these things and add to PubMed search builder here. So once I use this and use as a mesh, I get 17,000 articles. I can add my second keyword with my Boolean operator, and I can get more specific results as I want. So use of mesh is very important when we are doing literature review. Third is if you're doing just a review on one particular subject, for example, femoroacetabular impingement. So this is, you can select from the drop down mesh major topic, and put in just the review title there, and it immediately gives you the all the articles that are based on that subject. But you can add more keywords to make it more specific. For example, if you're just looking at diagnostic criteria, so you can add that, or you're just looking at surgical intervention, so you can add that as your second keyword to get more specific results. Let's take an example on how to do literature review. This is a 65-year-old woman with dorsal combination that presents to me. I use my search builder, put in distal radius, dorsal combination, and elderly as my search field. I get no results. Many a times you'll see this page where you'll find no results when related to when doing a review on PubMed. So what should we do? The easiest thing is use less number of keywords. So here I use distal radius and dorsal combination only. And when I click search, I get 5 results. Amongst this, third article will give me exactly the answer that I want. It tells me that this patient should be treated non-operatively. So that's how fast I can do my literature review in my clinical practice also, once I follow all the concepts and principles. All this can be done easily on a mobile app called PubMed on Tap. Once you have your literature review and your articles, for especially for your paper or thesis, what you can do is use make an Excel sheet with all the details. This is what I tell my students to do. Secondly, you can use Mendeley, which can be used as a review and reading app. It has a web desktop as well as mobile app application, allows live reference capture from the browser, and can be used very easily as a reference manager. So this is very important tool for literature search. So literature review requires a structured approach, requires practice, and requires constant learning. So don't do it alone. Take help from your research group and from your mentors and guides. These are many resources that are available there. And if you have any queries, you can contact us. Thank you very much. So if there are any questions, I can take now.
Thanks, Ashok. That was a very, very comprehensive basic lecture on how to do the literature search. And it needs to be re-emphasized that now literature search is nowadays not required only for research, even for your day-to-day practice, with the guidelines changing so fast and people being so aware. All of us clinicians need to get well versed with this part of literature. And have you gone through the new PubMed setup and had any experience on how better it is than the older version?
Hello? Sorry. Hello?
Ashok, did you get the question?
My mic was off a bit. Sorry.
Okay, I was just trying to know whether the new PubMed which is available,
Yeah.
more characters which they have added, has it improved the efficiency of a researcher, and how is it?
I think we should use the base concept, and that is good enough for all our purposes. It does add a lot of things, especially in mesh. It does add a lot of things which keep on working, but I think the basic concept of mesh which we can use can work very well.
I think in the front page of the new PubMed, I think the one thing that is better is the way you save your search. I think compared to the previous versions, the new version of PubMed is better, and it doesn't give everything, all the fields that were there present previously. The front page has changed, if you notice.
Yeah, but the most of the functionality remains the same.
Yeah.
And the search and everything remains the same. The user interface keeps on changing.
and we used to get the full search strategy for whatever we have used in the previous version. That is not available in this new one.
Okay. So you mean to say the operator and everything are not available now? When we put the search in advanced search, it is not showing?
Not advanced search. It's, for example, if you put total knee replacement and just allow the PubMed to search for itself, it has an algorithm. It places a strategy by itself and gives you a search result. And that strategy you can actually look at. In the previous version, it gives the full strategy, but in the new version,
right.
I couldn't find it actually.
Okay. No, I haven't tried the new one, but most of the time So what I do is my strategy is to start with Google, do a rough review on Google search first, and then find the most relevant article and go on PubMed and jump from there to here. So that's how I find, and as I do it, I put it in Mendeley and create my own search library, and then I refer only to Mendeley. So that's how most of the time I do. Rehan, how do you do your literature search, or how do you compile your articles?
The question is raised to me, right, Ashok?
Yeah, Rehan, to you.
So I think for me, again, getting some sort of hypothesis or some sort of a research question is the first thing, right? So once you have a research question, I will divide it into the PICO format. That means the patient, the intervention, the comparator, and the outcomes, right? And then for every patient, intervention, comparator, and outcome, supposedly if I say management of intertrochanteric fracture, which is better, DHS versus the PFN, in say patients above 60 years of age. So I get a patient group which is above 60 years of age. I am looking at the intervention, which is say the PFN, the comparator is a DHS, and the outcome, supposedly if I'm looking at the Harris Head score. So I will divide my research question into a PICO sort of a format. And then for every patient, intervention, comparator, and outcome, I will try to get all the synonyms for that. So for example, intertrochanteric fractures, fractures of the proximal femur, and fractures around the hip joint. Probably these are the common mesh terms that will be there.
Right.
Combine all the major factors by and then add them up with an OR. So DHS or a hip screw will be combined with and then the whole thing will be combined with an OR. So that will give me a search strategy, and probably that is the way forward for me. As far as research, as far as doing a literature search is concerned. The other thing is about how do you keep your articles. So I have very recently started using Mendeley because frankly, that is one of the one which is freely available. If you try to go anything like EndNote or the other things, then you have to, if you are going for a higher version, you have to. So I use Mendeley quite frequently now. So that is what I do.
Now we'll surely have a workshop on Mendeley also soon, where we can explore completely all the points.
Hi, Ashok.
Hi, Ashish. Boli.
No, again, same thing. We use EndNote pretty frequently. 99% time we use EndNote. Do you find any specific advantage with Mendeley as compared to EndNote, or it's just free version availability, or it's just your comfort level, or are there any specific advantages or disadvantages between EndNote and Mendeley?
I think it is useful. It does a job that I wanted to do. And so that's it. It does the job that I wanted to do. So that I didn't have to refer to any other software. I never used any as such.
Okay.
I have used...
Rehan, Srinivas or Rehan, your experience, because you guys must have used both of them. So what do you guys feel?
The advantage with Mendeley is that when you use PDF, you can actually save PDF documents in your Mendeley, and you can actually directly put the PDF in the Mendeley, and it picks up all the data from the PDF itself. Zotero doesn't do that. And with Mendeley, you can read the PDFs within the app itself, but Zotero opens up as a separate window. So those are the two key differences from the user interface point of view. From the search, I think there's not much difference. Zotero, you can, as you know, you can save references directly from PubMed, but downloading multiple references, I find difficult from Zotero.
All right.
One question for Ashok, if that is feasible. Nowadays, a lot of students and a lot of researchers would want to do something like a secondary research, something like a systematic review, where not only searching the PubMed is good enough, they need to search some other these things also. For example, Embase and Cochrane. So what are the major databases which you think should be included when you are doing a systematic review besides the PubMed?
I think PubMed is good enough to do a literature review in its own. So I generally don't refer to any other database except PubMed and Google to do my literature review. And you mentioned what you have searched and where you have searched, and that's what it is.
No, I'm asking specifically if somebody is planning to do some sort of a systematic review.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the index journals, if you just do a PubMed search, they may actually not accept your paper. They would want you to do a more broader search and include some other databases.
So most of the articles you will find on Google search and PubMed combined together.
Okay.
You don't have to go to a very specific database. Google will list most of the articles. It becomes a bit random and you have to become more choosy. But once you get used to how to do it, so you get one chunk from PubMed and the second chunk from Google, you don't have to go anywhere else. You will have all the articles, irrespective of whether you are not visiting specific database. Of course, Cochrane you can always use. Cochrane is as good as, it's very simple. I mean, I should have taken that also.
Yeah, Rehan, we also do the same thing. Whenever we are looking at, obviously, sarcoma articles are much lesser as compared to if you are looking at infections and if you're looking at trauma, they are much more. But yeah, we actually, if you are planning to do a meta-analysis or if you are planning to do a systematic review, we start with Google first and then sort of narrow down. And I think in last 3 or 4 these big reviews, I think 90 to 95% of the articles what we need or we need to include. I'm sorry, obviously there'll be a bit more number as far as more common things like trauma is concerned, but for sarcomas at least I can say that about 95% of the things are there in the PubMed itself. And then you look at the cross references also of few of the articles, and then through cross references also you get that info. And I think Google serves the purpose to do it. But yes, to start with Google, there's a lot of scanning you need to do. A lot of garbage comes in. At many times I have asked Ashok for the help that, how to filter those things, because you get just everything under the earth available. But I think that's a good thing to start with.
If I may,
Srinivas, you would want to add something to that?
Yeah, Google and PubMed are freely available, but there are some databases where you need subscription, like Scopus and Embase, Ovid. These things, if you need a subscription, you can get additional. There are some journals which are not listed in PubMed that are listed in Scopus. So Scopus is another good database to go through. There's also
I think they will, most of the time generally most likely listed in PubMed than on Scopus. Much larger database.
Yes.
And we can't always find 100% of papers. We just mentioned that these are all that we found. And cross-referencing is very important point that Gulia sir made. We cross-reference and find as much as possible. Even for systematic reviews, we have to define what we are reviewing and how much we are reviewing. Only then we can be focused. Otherwise, if we say we are going to review everything on PFN in intertrochanteric fracture, it becomes very difficult. So maybe PFN in intertrochanteric fracture in last 10 years in articles having, say, more than 10 citations. Something like that, if we focus on, we get more relevant results than doing a very raw review. So define the parameters beforehand and go with Google and PubMed. That's basic. So any other queries?
One more useful tip I found with PubMed searches, you can use symbols like asterisks and quotes to limit your search. Asterisks, as you know, in some of the searches, electronic searches, it includes everything that follows the letters. And when you put a few letters and then put an asterisk, it includes everything after those letters. So, and if you put a few letters between quotes, it searches just those. So if you put total knee replacement, it searches for total knee and replacement separately. But if you put that within quotes, it looks for only total knee replacement.
Srinivas, do you have a picture of what you're talking? It's a bit difficult to grasp. If you can share your screen.
Yes, sir.
Ashok, you can share your screen.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, I would like to raise a question. Now that Ashok sir mentioned about articles with at least 10 citations, how do you identify that?
So you can find that in Google.
Okay.
Not very easy, but you can filter that out there. That is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah,
The citation
it sort of has to be done manually, right? You cannot, yeah.
It's normally written there in Google search, cited by. So you have to do it manually, maybe cut, paste, and make a Word document or an Excel sheet or something.
Yeah. So Srinivas is
one I have written is sulfur. So if you put asterisks between SUL, asterisk and UR, it searches for SUPHEUR and SUFUR.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
That's a nice tip to learn.
Yeah, and total knee replacement, if you put it within the quotes,
it will search all the words
in that order.
Yeah.
All the words in that order.
It will not look for three separate things.
Three separate, yes.
That's a nice tip, Srinivas. Thanks.
Well, otherwise, total will search all the totals.
All the totals.
Yeah.
It will search total and knee and replacement. So any article which will have total and knee and replacement will come, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, but maybe I'll speak to you. Asterisks, I could not.
Asterisks, it just indicates anything.
Okay.
So it picks up SUL, PH. If there are words with two different spellings.
Yeah.
So whichever is common, we put it, and for the rest, we put an asterisk. And also, if you put the asterisk at the end, it fills up all the words that comes. Like supposing you're searching for arthroscopically. If you put arthros, ARTHROSC,
and then put asterisk.
Put an asterisk. It brings you all the arthroscopic.
Great. So arthroscopically, everything related to arthro will sort of come into that.
Yes.
That's a good tip. That's a great tip.
I have actually seen certain people just use arthros, like they don't complete the word.
Yes.
They just use arthros without the asterisk also. Is that also okay?
I don't know. I've always used an asterisk and searched.
Okay, because I have read some systematic reviews which have done like that. whenever like this type of words.
But if you have a gap between, I mean, within the word, then it becomes difficult.
Yeah, and this is in between Boolean operators. For example, arthros and surgery, something like that. Okay.
So generally, I covered most of the basic parts of search, and maybe in recent months we'll have one on advanced literature search, where we can define, especially from systematic review point of view, we can do a more advanced from form of literature search, and then we go on to literature review. Yeah.
Give any 1 or 2 tips on getting full text articles?
Yeah, that I have around 10 of them.
Maybe you can give 3.
Skyhub.
Yeah, Skyhub is all that you need.
But Ashok, usually what is the time gap between article coming online and it's available on Skyhub? Because many times you don't get the recent ones, right?
At least 3 weeks to 3 weeks.
Okay.
At least 3 weeks. So
And
within that month, and many of the pre-print may not be available.
Okay.
I mean, ahead of print is not available.
And you always use incognito mode to go to Skyhub, or
No need now.
Okay.
Now I'm more bolder.
Okay. Okay.
Also on Google, when you put the search and then type in file type, FILETYPE and a colon, and put it PDF, you get all the PDF files only listed in the search.
Right.
So you will not get all the other stuff, patents and other stuff. So only PDF related files will be listed.
Okay.
Yeah. With respect to Sci-Hub, there's one more thing I wanted to say. It's easier to, more successful to search with the PMID rather than actually putting the title of the article. A lot of times, even when it is available, if you put the title of the article, if there is a hyphen or a colon or a semicolon, there is difficulty in pulling out the article. So rather you go to PubMed, get the PMID and put it into Sci-Hub, then it's more successful.
Okay.
And there's one more thing.
DOA also picks up.
Yeah. And a lot of times the Sci-Hub website keeps changing. So if it's not accessible, go to Google, search for latest Sci-Hub website, and you can get few websites, and you have to try some of them.
So
or go to,
just a minute.
or
So
go,
this is like IGO official webinar, and we should not. I mean, you know what I'm saying. That's why I didn't include. After the thank you slide, the second lecture starts. So we have to be.
By the end of it.
So,
And Ashok, for the delegates who are listening, to emphasize about the learning curve. You've gone through this learning curve, and tell us how it improves of searching articles.
I think it is practice and more practice. As you use those 5 concepts and you move on with that, you have to practice your literature review. Just keep on practicing. So you use your keywords, your fields, Boolean operator, mesh term, and template paper. These are the 5 concepts on which your literature review is built. You get them perfectly synchronized, it will be very easy for you. In your clinic, you can just use the keywords in PubMed Search Builder. When you're writing a paper, use all 5, use Google Scholar and PubMed, and you'll get. So getting the articles is much easier than reviewing and analyzing them. So getting is not really difficult. You follow these 4-5 steps, keep on doing it again and again just for fun of it, and you will keep on building it. So I think it is practice, which is most important.
And get help of your peers and colleagues when you get stuck. It sounds very easy. Ashok takes picture, but then after the lecture, next day you try to search, you get 50,000 results. So please go back to your senior colleagues, and every small tip you will keep telling you how to become more efficient.
Right. I mean, take help is very important in research, especially. So, and I think most of the editorial board people are available for helping in many points. We also have the WhatsApp group where you can ask queries. So we are here to help.
I think another very important point is that after listening to Ashok's lecture, I think next day you should sit down and practice it for half an hour to 1 hour, because it's a very forgettable thing. You tend to forget very fast if you don't practice it next day or in next coming few days.
Yeah. Sure. And you can rewatch this lecture again. So this will be available now. Anyways, and I think there are few of the delicate questions, but most of them are already answered in the talk as well as during our discussion. They can rewatch the video and just have a go. And if there are still questions, then they can send to me on WhatsApp or put it on our WhatsApp group. So I think we should stop here today. It's already 50 minutes.
Okay.